News and on Twitter at Metro TVGH. My name is Moro Awudu. Coming up this evening on Newsline, Accra High Court dismisses injunction application by Attorney General to stop Fix the Country protesters from embarking on planned demonstration against hardship in Ghana. The protesters are back where they started, but can they now proceed with their protest? We will be finding out tonight. Also in this bulletin, former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin sentenced to more than 22 years in prison in the murder of George Floyd. Details coming up shortly. Newsline is always brought to you by Delta Paper, producers of Flora disposable tissue. Newsline will be right back.
Did you know that cloth handkerchief gets dirty and wet after wiping your sweat or blowing your nose with it? Keeping a dirty handkerchief in your pocket or bag is very unhygienic. Reusing it increases your chances of getting sick from germs. That is why I always use Flora disposable handkerchief. Flora disposable handkerchiefs is disposable, thus making it a more hygienic option. It's thick and very absorbent. With 10 tissues in a pack, Flora disposable handkerchief is better than a cloth handkerchief.
Mommy, my Flora disposable handkerchief.
Look out for Flora toilet roll, Flora multi-purpose paper towels, Flora table napkins, and Flora box tissues in a shop near you. For both purchases, call Delta Paper Mail on 0243 033 033.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room sets, dining set, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
All right, welcome back to the program. We now start with our first story. The Minneapolis police has sentenced Chauvin, who has been convicted of murdering George Floyd, to over 22 years in prison. Now, the former officer has been held in solitary confinement since he was found guilty in April. Now, Derek Chauvin was sentenced to 22.5 years in prison on Friday. Chauvin was convicted in April of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter for the killing of Floyd, a black man who was detained by police. The former officer did not testify during his 6-week trial. The only time he spoke was to invoke his Fifth Amendment privilege and state he would not be testifying in his own defense. The jurors reached the verdict in about 10 hours in a case that sparked protests worldwide last summer against police brutality and racism. Chauvin knelt on Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes, and the event was captured on video by bystanders and seen by millions.
The job of a trial court judge is to apply the law to specific facts and to deal with individual cases. And so, Mr. Chauvin, as to count one, based on the verdict of the jury finding you guilty of unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony under Minnesota Statute 609.19 subdivision 2 paren 1. It is the judgment of the court that you now stand convicted of that offense. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute section 609.04, counts 2 and 3 will remain unadjudicated as they are lesser offenses of count 1. As sentenced for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270. That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months. This is based on your abuse of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You are granted credit for 199 days already served. Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You're prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or explosives for the remainder of your life. Provide a DNA sample as required by law. Register as a predatory offender as required by law. And then you will receive a copy of the order and also the attached memorandum explaining the court's analysis. Anything further from the state?
If this needs to be said, we just ask that it be executed forthwith.
Defendant is remanded to the custody of the sheriff to be transported back to the DOC or whichever custody is currently holding him. Anything for the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. We are adjourned.
Joining us all the way from Portland in the United States of America is Pious Ali. He's a civil rights activist who will be talking to us tonight on this matter to help us make sense of the ruling which has just been delivered over there. Good evening, Pious. Thank you very much for joining us on NEWSLINE here in Accra, Ghana.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Right. Can you help us appreciate and understand what this means for civil rights activists such as you?
Well, thank you very much. I think this is a very bold step for those of us who are immigrants but happen to be blacks or coming from other marginalized identity. We look at the work that was done before we got into this country, and we believe that this is the right step. It's a bold move. It is the first time, especially in Minnesota, that a police officer is receiving this number of years for having murdered a private citizen, especially people of color.
Right. Was this the kind of sentencing that you had envisaged or anticipated was going to be handed down to him?
Well, I was hoping that because George Floyd's murder triggered a lot of protests, not only in Minnesota, but across the U.S. and all over the world, I was anticipating that it would be more. However, since he's not walking free, since he is going to serve some time, and also there is there's a federal civil rights case pending, where he will have another trial and he will be sentenced. For me and many others who work with people who look like me, who are blacks and other racial minorities in this country and probably across the world, it doesn't matter how many years he's sentenced. It doesn't matter how much he has to pay in monetary fine, so long as Black people and other racial minorities who do not walk on the street freely, then there's no justice. We want to make sure that we hope that this is the beginning of a long journey that America will take towards securing that safety when people who look like me, whether they are my kids, whether they are immigrants or they are natives of this country, when they walk on the street, they don't have to look over their shoulder. When they are driving and they see a police car coming from behind them, they don't have to panic. that is when a true justice is served in this country.
Right, so I get a sense that with what has happened today, this certainly is a major step towards the fight against racial discrimination or the fight against police brutalities, especially against people of color, black and brown.
Absolutely, because I think George Floyd's murder opened a floodgate of everyday citizens hitting the streets of America and all over the world, saying that we don't want to be treated this way anymore. We want a new law, a law that is just, that treats everybody equally, irrespective of the color of their skin or their background. And I think this is a beginning to see that if we are holding police officers and other people who are in authority accountable like it is done today, people will think twice before they act in a certain way towards black and brown people and other racial minorities.
All right. Pious Ali, I want to thank you so very much for talking to us here on NEWSLINE on Metro TV all the way from Accra, Ghana. Pious Ali is a racial and civil rights activist based in the United States of America. When I come back home, where an Accra High Court has dismissed an injunction application by the Ghana Police Service seeking to restrain a street protest by the Fix the Country campaigners. The court says that application is moot because May 9, the date for the protest, which the police did not agree to, has long elapsed. My colleague Henry Kwesibedu was in court and has the rest of the story.
Earlier today, an Accra High Court ruled that the Attorney General, Godfrey Damin, could represent the police in the case involving them and the Fix the Country campaigners. The court held that the Attorney General is responsible for all civil suits against the Republic and hence can represent the police service. While the court was hearing the legal argument of the Attorney General, Godfrey Damin, and lawyers for the Fix the Country campaigners, some of the campaigners had pitched camp in front of the law court complex, holding placards demanding that the country is fixed. In respect to a demonstration that they had wanted to hold somewhere on 9th May, the police got an ex parte motion that was on the 6th of May, barring them from embarking on the demonstration. The Fix the Country demonstrators also proceeded to the Supreme Court to say that the ex parte injunction that was sought from the Accra High Court by the Ghana Police Service was unlawful. You recall that the Supreme Court quashed that injunction. As I speak to you now, lawyers for the Fix the Country demonstrators are currently on their feet arguing why the court should give them the green light to demonstrate. Some of your members are inside. Why are you guys outside holding flags and plaques?
The way things are going, we can see that our leaders are not ready to give us that freedom to exercise our rights as citizens when something is going wrong. So as they are in the courtroom, we are also outside, letting the public know that we are serious and we mean what we want to do.
I think that we, the youth, presented a very great opportunity to the leaders, the so-called leaders. For me, I don't call them leaders. I call them agents. They are agents of the colonizers. They are agents of our oppressors. They are only representing the interests of the oppressors, not the interests of the people.
What are you guys going to do just in case if the judge comes out to say that she is upholding the order, the injunction that was sought by the Ghana Police Service to bar you from embarking on the protest? What are you going to do?
You see, when it is coming, it is still coming. It is still coming. Wait, and when it comes, you will know what is going to happen next.
Besides, reacting to this development, a private legal practitioner, lawyer Benjamin Antido, noted that the protesters will still have to go through due process under the Public Order Act. He spoke with Ifia Ufusua on Newsnight.
The High Court has spoken unexpectedly because the Supreme Court had already given the indication that since there was no pending demonstration, there was nothing to pass. And so you see that is what the High Court followed up with. So now it means that you are entitled to go through the processes to embark on demonstration if you want to. But the emphasis here is going through the processes. So the court processes, any of them at the Supreme Court or the High Court, does not, waive any of the legal processes under the Public Order Act. And so that has to be fulfilled. So there is nothing, no change in terms of the intention to demonstrate, because that has to be served now. There should be a new intention expressed and the notice given under the Public Order Act.
The Attorney General, Godfrey Dami, says that he will not give any response to allegations and criticisms by former Attorney General Martin Amidu. A few months back, Mr. Amidu accused the AG's office of deliberately and knowingly concocting fake news against him. Godfrey Dami says Mr. Amidu deserves no response because his utterances are baseless.
Martin Amidu, who has sat in this office that you sit in today, he's been there before under the NDC administration. Right. And yes, you talked about his harsh criticism against you personally. What's your relationship like with him?
Professional. When he was special prosecutor, I used to visit him, and he knows it. And he actually used to say much of the time that I was the only person from this ministry who used to visit him. And that is it. I mean, I have nothing against him if he...
So that appears cordial. Is it still cordial as we speak?
I've not met him anywhere at all.
Okay.
And there's no basis for a breach of that cordiality. If he has breached the cordiality, it's really entirely up to him. What I can say is that when the office was threatened by a legal suit, his own status as a special prosecutor was threatened by a legal suit. Dr. Dominic Arini instituted an action against the Attorney General and himself. I rather defended him to the best of my ability, and my defense was actually upheld by the Supreme Court, and that resulted in him continuing as special prosecutor. So in a way, I'm responsible for his being special prosecutor, which he so much touts about, and that is fine. And
things turn out this way, where he's the one sort of championing your criticism.
But criticism for what? So that's really what you ought to take account of. The article that he wrote, very empty. Criticism for what? What did he say that I had done? That he had, Daily Guide had written a story about him. And then he says the Attorney General is behind it. It's totally spurious and speculative, conjectural, and everybody saw it. And if you observe the comments about the article, I think it spoke for...
Why was your reaction silence?
Because there was nothing to respond to. And I still have not responded to it. I would not take... If I were to take him on, clearly, I mean, there are all manner of actions open to me, because really what he did was baseless. But I'm saying that I'll leave...
The Attorney General has also been rejecting calls for the prosecution of government officials who reportedly breached the Impositions of Restrictions Act when they attended the funeral of a former General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party. The minority in Parliament, for instance, demanded an apology from President Akufo-Addo for joining thousands of mourners and that he's flouted the COVID-19 protocols at the funeral. But Godfrey Dami says no government person breached any COVID protocols.
How long is government going with this case, Fix the Country and the Republic?
We are not going on with any case. The only application filed by the Ghana Police Service is to seek an order of prohibition in terms of the demonstration that they have evinced an intention to pursue.
Because we are in COVID-19.
Because of COVID-19, because there is an act of Parliament which imposes restrictions, Imposition of Restrictions Act, because there is also an EI issued pursuant to the Act, which also imposes a restriction on public gatherings and whatever.
Let me play devil's advocate here. So for a lot of our audience, a lot of the Fix the Country protesters, they would say that then there's some special treatment going on as far as this EI is concerned, because state actors were at Sir John, that's the former MPP General Secretary's funeral. That was allowed. People were allowed to gather. Why wouldn't they be allowed to gather?
Where people congregate with all respect, in the rural area, spontaneously, they see the president having shown up in the area, vice president having shown up in the area, even the Chief Justice also there, many actors were there, NDC MPs were there, and they see them show up and spontaneously they pour out at a funeral. That cannot be used as an excuse or a justification for a failure to apply the law.
President Akufo-Addo has sworn in 39 deputy ministers and a minister of state at the finance ministry who will be prosecuting his government's agenda in his second term. He's urging the new appointees to be loyal to their bosses and work to build a prosperous Ghana.
To the integrity of Ghana, that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. So help me God. So help me God.
Your basic responsibility is thus to assist your minister in the performance of his or her functions. Loyalty to the minister is the fundamental premise for the success of your work. I will not countenance any acts of disloyalty or subversion of your minister, for I will take such acts as disloyalty to me personally, and by inference, disloyalty to the state and party. Any deputy who thinks the route to advancement lies in your ability to subvert or undermine your minister will be sadly mistaken. You will not profit from that conduct in Akufo-Addo's presidency. On the contrary, you're likely to forfeit your office. I want you to work with your minister in all sincerity and transparency. That is the best guarantee of your individual success and of our collective success.
Amongst the approximately 30 million Ghanaians, we here are the ones you appointed. This doesn't necessarily mean that we are the wisest. Nonetheless, you have reposed enormous confidence in us and given us the opportunity to be part of the route to a Ghana beyond aid.
Now, we as Africans must work hard to make sure that the positive projections become a reality. Those were words of Mene Mankele, Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat at the State of AFCA 2021 conference. Mene Mankele at the conference organized by AFTA Policy Network emphasized the need to confront the challenges facing the organization head-on. According to him, the alternative is worse.
The local network of the AFCFTA was established for the purpose to highlight and uphold the implementation of intra-Africa trade with pillars of trade partnerships, economies of scale, amongst others. At a conference which brought together stakeholders and private sector players from across the world, Secretary General of the AFTA Secretariat, Mene Mankele, called on stakeholders to remain unflinching.
If we allow the challenges, the daily challenges and the daily difficulties of integrating so many different markets on the continent, we are not going to succeed. We will remain in this condition that we have been in for the last 60 to 70 years. There are too many challenges, but in my view, the alternative is even worse, because the alternative is where we have been.
Yao Afu is the Executive Director of the AFTA Policy Network.
We realize that it's important for us to, harness by bringing industry players, stakeholders, to really know the state of AFTA trading. In other words, how far have we gone since January? Who are exporting? Which companies are exporting? What are their challenges? And what can we do? It's about them. It's about us.
On his part, economist and professor of finance at the University of Ghana Business School, Professor Godfred Bokwing, said expectations should be measured.
And if you look at its commercial and economic significance, we are very, very hopeful. But I think we also have to be measured in terms of our aspirations, because it's going to take a while because of the teeming challenges. So there's the need for us to reinforce the benefits and make sure that EFCFTA works for Africa and it works for Africans.
He again called for some reforms to the university education curriculum.
We must be infusing the protocols, the origin of trade and all of that in our educational curriculum so that the graduates who are exiting are empowered with that knowledge. And as they go through, infuse themselves through industry, through national service and employment, they begin to internalize that knowledge.
The AFTA aims at accelerating intra-African trade and boosting Africa's trading position in the global market by strengthening Africa's common voice and policy space in global trade negotiations.
Delta Paper Mill Limited, producers of floral disposable tissues, has donated some sanitary product worth 13,000 Ghana cedis to the Jolu Special School to enhance students' personal hygiene. The gesture, which forms part of the company's corporate social responsibility, is also to support government efforts in the fight against the spread of COVID-19. There's more in the following report.
This is the second time Delta Paper Mill Limited, producers of floral disposable tissue, is donating to the Jolu Special School in fulfillment of its corporate social responsibility. The company says the gesture will help contain the spread of COVID-19 among the students. Barbara Inkum is a marketing manager of Delta Paper Mill Limited.
Okay, when we came here in February, we realized that the kids here, as we all know, have special needs, but we didn't know that taking care of them is a lot of work. So when we came and we saw what the teachers were doing for these kids, and we spoke to their school and got to know some of their needs. And at that time, to realize that government was also trying to supply these schools with tissue products so that the kids can be clean and they can use it to protect themselves or to clean their hands after touching surfaces and all that. And since we produce tissue products, we thought it wise to come back from time to time to give more products to them so that at least they can use it every day and the kids can stay healthy.
A staff member of Jolu Special School expressed gratitude to the company.
They were here in February during the Valentine's Day. They gave us products, and this era of COVID, I think that it has come in handy, helping the kids to keep clean and all that. So we are very grateful, we are happy, and we are praying that we'll be here very often because this is of great help to our school and our institution.
Jolu Special School, established in 1970, provides formal education for children with autism. Elvis Andor, Metro News.
Well, all too soon we've come to the end of tonight's edition of Newsline, and for that matter for the week. Newsline is always brought to you by Delta Paper, producers of floral disposable tissue. My name is Moro Audu. Remember, the news never sleeps. Have a good night.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Ghana,